accompanying us tonight on the pianoforte, we have the wonderful, the superb, the superlative Mr. Tom Carradine.
Tom Cutler.
Right, that's it, you can all go home. No! Will you please welcome now to sing these songs, the first of them anyway, for you, the incomparable Patricia Heaven. Jewish-American composer, I'm sure you all know, wrote something like 1,500 songs, roughly in the period of working life of 60 years. He died at the age of 101, so he packed it in. He wrote, as you remember, White Christmas. He also wrote There's No Business Like Show Business. The other 1,498, I can't remember. In 1914, while the USA was, how should we put it, being neutral, he wrote a pacifist song called Stay Down Here Where You Belong. The eventual entry of the United States into the war led to this becoming, subsequently for Irving Berlin, a great embarrassment. And one of the Marx Brothers, and we can't quite work out whether it's Harpo or Groucho, took great pleasure in years and years following of singing it at every opportunity just to embarrass him. Irving Berlin was much better known for his patriotic songs such as God Bless America, which was in 1918, he wrote that. The music of Stay Down Here Where You Belong is delightfully Jewish, as you'll notice from Tom's playing and Patricia's singing. Now on Patricia's fantastic CD, which I heartily recommend, and is available from all good books or something, it's available afterwards, she does a lovely klezmer version of Stay Down Here Where You Belong, with clarinets and the whole thing. It's brilliant. Anyway, here it is. Stay down here where you belong.
Oh
In 1916, J.R.R. Tolkien, who was an author, I think, he was serving on the marshes of the River Ancre, which is a Picardy river that flows into the Somme, another river. And his experiences there are said to have inspired his descriptions of the marshes of the dead in Lord of the Rings. And I've got a description from the book, and I'll just read it to you. The only green was the scum of living weed on the dark, greasy surfaces of the sullen waters. Dead grasses and rotten reeds loomed up in the mists. There are dead things, dead faces in the water, he said with horror. Dead faces. The Rose of No Man's Land is an American song about the Red Cross nurse on the front lines. It was written in 1918 by two Bostonians, Jack Cadigan, a lyricist, and James Alexander Brennan, who was a composer and also a camouflage artist. I want to show you. Patricia's a great researcher, as I said, and she dug out this. She dug out this lovely cover, and there it is, The Rose of No Man's Land. It's an American production, but even in America they had there were limits on paper, and it says here, patriotic war edition, to cooperate with the government and to conserve paper during the war. This song is issued in a smaller size than usual. Your cooperation will be very much appreciated. I don't know what that means. Anyway, inside there's another note which I spotted, and it says, this composition may also be had for your talking machine or player piano. Now we all know what a player piano is. A talking machine, of course, is just a gramophone, a record player. There's something else in here which I spotted, and it's a reference to the publishing company of Herman Darevsky, music publisher. We'll hear about him later on. You'll notice that this song contains some French lyrics alongside the English, and Patricia now sings it, The Rose of No Man's Land.
I see some wonderful
in that song. And next we have a French song which Patricia has translated herself. The words you'll find in the programme. It's called La Madelon, or Con Madelon, which is more accurate. The lyrics are by Louis Bousquet and the music is by Camille Robert. And I'm afraid I can't tell you very much about either of those people. Anyway, it tells the story of soldiers flirting with a young waitress in a country inn. And it is mercifully clean, because, as you may know, soldiers' songs of this period, of any period, are much less polite, Malcolm, I know you don't believe me, than this one is. Patricia tells me she didn't have to bowdlerise this at all, although she thinks that a line like fool with her petticoat, which let's call that a euphemism, was quite racy enough, she said, for a publication of 1913. Indeed, the English translation of this expunged all references to petticoats and something about her having the choice of an entire regiment. Which was a pity, really. Anyway, the song was very popular during the First World War, and Marlene Dietrich revived it in the Second World War. She did a similar thing with Lily Marlene. It's a German love song for Lily Marlene, and she revived both of us. Anyway, here it is, the only clean soldier's song in history. Britain only paid off its First World War debts in March of this year, a few weeks ago. And the sum was the sum of the final repayment was a mere £2,000 million, which tells you something about how expensive wars are. The so-called perpetual bonds, which go back to 1720, there was something called the South Sea Bubble Crisis, which was a slave trade speculation frenzy, and the Battle of Waterloo of 1815 have still not been paid for, which is interesting, I think. I've got a lovely book here, it's called Knitting for Tommy, Keeping the Great War Soldiers Warm by Lucinda Gosling, and I'm going to read you some of it. On the 29th of August, 3 weeks after the outbreak of war, Lady French, wife of General Sir John French, placed an appeal in the Times. There is a great need for knitted socks, etc. for our troops. It is indeed a crying need, as the War Office allowance is only 3 pairs for each man, and a long day's march will wear the socks into holes. I would ask those who have leisure to knit, or who are willing to employ others to do so, send parcels as soon as possible, and not direct to me, but to Miss Douglas and Miss N. Selby Lowndes at the Ceylon Tea Depot. Lady French kept up her requests, and by January 1915 she was asking the nation's knitters to provide her with 300,000 mufflers at the request of the War Office. Dorothy Constance Peel, who under the name of Mrs. C.S. Peel, wrote the weekly cookery column in the Queen magazine, and she recalled the epidemic of knitting during the first 2 years of the war in her memoirs, How We Lived Then. We knitted socks, some of them of unusual shapes. Waistcoats, helmets, comforters, mitts, body belts. We knitted in theatres, in trains, on trams, in parks and parlours, in the intervals of eating in restaurants, of serving in canteens. Men knitted, children knitted. A little girl, promoted to 4 needles, asked anxiously of her mother, "Mummy, do you think I shall live to finish this sock?" It was soothing to our nerves to knit, and comforting to think that the results of our labours might save some man something of hardship and misery, for always the knowledge of what our men suffered haunted us. It was said that such a stock of knitted goods flooded into the trenches that men cleaned their rifles and wiped their cups and plates with their surplus socks and comforters. On the subject of needlecraft, see what I did there? On the subject of needlecraft, we come to the delightful Sister Susie's Sewing Shirts for Soldiers. The words were written in 1914 by the prolific R.P. Weston, whose real name was Robert Harris. He also authored, or co-authored, with her head tucked underneath her arm, and I'm Henry VIII Diane. Clearly a historian of some sort. His co-author on Sister Susie was Fred Barnes, whose family maintained that actually Fred Barnes wrote the song. But who knows the truth of that? The composer was Herman Derevsky, who we'd heard about earlier in that leaflet I showed you. He was the publisher of that piece, and he was a composer, and he was born in Minsk, which was then part of the Russian Empire, but he grew up in London, and among his best known songs are Katie and Ours is a Nice House, Ours is, one of Tom's favourites. But Sister Susie's Sewing Shirts for Soldiers is a favourite, and it's about what it says it's about. It's about soldiers, about women sewing shirts for soldiers fighting in the trenches. And of course, it's a tongue twister. And each verse was meant to be sung faster than the one before, which was a challenge for soldiers who had been drinking, which apparently did happen from time to time. Please join in with the chorus. The words are in the programme, and Patricia's now going to sing Sister Susie Sewing Shirts for Soldiers.
With a cotton and sitting on the needles that she eats.
entertainment, there is a bar open over here, which you might have spotted. It has trench flavoured and unrationed beer and wine available. The interval's going to be relatively short, and towards the end of it, Tom is going to go back to the piano and start tickling the ivories, playing a short medley of songs for your entertainment and approval, and also to encourage you to replace your bottoms on your seats. So we will see you in a few minutes.